Good morning, friends. I am taking a look through my creative journal. I'm finished it and going to be making a new one today. Loved this journal, super colorful. And as you can see, I didn't finish it, but it's not for me about finishing the pages. It's like for me, I'm done. I'm ready to be done in this one. I've been journaling this a few months. I don't journal every day. So I think I'm just ready. I'm ready to move on to a new one. I've been using this since December, I think, or the fall of last year. So let's get into it. And I think part of it too is when I don't journal every day because we're journaling in so many other things. Like I have a Valentine's journal I'm working in right now as well. I have a grief journal. So I journal in so many different places that my creative journal ends up being something that I do use for quite some time. But I love it, and I think she's time to be done. I'm losing a charm. Let me get that buddy back on there. And then that means this is going to rest too. What I will do though is I'm going to take this girly junk. I just made these and put a bunch in the shop. They will be a restock. Don't worry, y'all. But I love this. I'm going to be using this in my new journal. So I'm going to take this piece from my memory charm and I'm going to add that into my next journal. And I kind of carry over from this journal to my next journal. All right, so how do we make a journal? I'm going to be making it out of a composition book. I do like the size of the composition book when it comes to my creative journaling. I like how big a 2-page spread is. What I don't like, though, is 100 pages. There's no way I would use this much. So one of the immediate things I do when I make a composition book is take those pages out. But let's get into what you need. Today I'll be using an awl to help me with making holes for sewing and taking these pages out. I will be using Fabri-Tac as my glue, scissors, maybe some tape, maybe some hole punching. I have a device that I got from Dana, Artist Creations Journals, Artist Creations, Dana Ellis, she's in the chat. She makes these fantastic binding tools where I don't have to think about making my holes. I just go by a number and it goes right in. Love it. So check her out. You can get one of those tools. I think you can even get it monogrammed. Let's get into it. So I'm going to take this out. All I do is take my awl and I get up under these strings and I just rough and tough take that out. Okay, so I'm going to finish that. I'll be right back. All right, we're separated. These are my pages here, and I'm just going to take, I don't even really count. I just take some, and I'm like, that's good. That's all I'm going to need in this. And reality is because I do like a journal, and I like to journal a lot. I don't like to journal a lot necessarily in this book every day. I'm only just going to take, like, I don't even know what this is. Not even half. So, and maybe that's too much too, but we'll see. So, just gonna come back in. I kind of have an idea ahead of time of like what I want to do. I do have some cardstock here I'm working with. I know that I want to do something very colorful. We're coming into springtime. So, I have some various pages here. So I'm going to figure out what I want to decorate. And I think the first steps that I'm going to do is decorate the front. It kind of just gets me excited for the rest of it. So I'm going to pick out my papers and I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I've picked out my front and my back photos. And what I'm going to do now is just glue them down to my composition book. And then we'll work on the inside signatures because I want to sew those in, I think, before I add my binding so that my binding is hidden. So let me glue this down and we'll be right back. All right, so we've glued the front and the back pieces down. I think what I want to do is the inside too, because what I want to do is when I cover my spine, I want it to cover my papers. So I think what I'm going to do is start working on my inside covers. And I will attach those, but I also want to do a ribbon closure in this. So what I'm going to do is attach my ribbon first, and I'll just do that with you here. What you're going to do is take your book, and because this just makes it easier to, I just think that when you glue it down it just gives you extra support. So I'm just not even cutting it. I'm going to glue one long ribbon in my book. And by gluing one long ribbon, it's just even stronger support. So I'm just going to glue this down the middle, and then I'm going to attach my papers on top, and I'll meet you back here. All right, welcome back to my super sunny studio. So here we go. We are now have ribbons, super long. I'll probably cut that down. Front, insides, back, super colorful, excited for this. I think I now want to worry about what I'm putting inside my journal. So I definitely want, like, I have some more papers here, so I think I want to make some folders. What I'm going to do is just tape these together so if they end up making a good size, and I'll just cut them down. If I fold them in half, it's not big enough. So this is a way that you can make extra folders for your journal. Just take 2 pieces of paper. I'm going to just tape them down the middle with some Scotch tape. And clear tape's probably the best. And so when I go to sew into my journal here, I have some bigger, colorful, just some extra pages, honestly. It's nothing really. I'll probably turn them into little folders or something. So I'm going to cut these down, create my folders, and I'll come back with my signature and we'll sew that together. All right, friends. All right, so I have made some decorative pages. There's about 10 of these in here. Another decorative, another 10, and this is going to be a pocket. So I make the folder, and then once it's sewn in, I'll close it up on this side, and it'll be a folder up top here as well here. I might make a slit and make a pocket here as well, so we'll see. But just some decorative pages. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this over to my guillotine cutter, and I'm going to line it up with my book and get everything cut and matching perfectly, and then we'll go on to the sewing, and then we'll finish decorating. So super excited for a new one. Be right back. All right, we have cut it down. So we have a pretty page, a bunch of pages, and when I journal, I cover my pages, so I'm not going to go ahead and glue things together in washi. That's just me. You can do what you like. But when I journal, I tend to put down a page first, which then reinforces my page, and then I journal on that. So I don't need to reinforce ahead of time. It saves me time too. So here are my journaling pages, another decorative page, journaling pages. This will become a little folder, and the rest. So I'm excited. This is going to be pretty. So now I think I want to sew it in. Sometimes I just staple it in. Part of me kind of just wants to do that. I'll just do a long staple. But I do know that that doesn't always guarantee the best long-term support. So I do think sewing is going to be the best thing here. So I think what I'm going to do is make my holes. I'll show you how I do that with this, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew it in. Okay, so this is an easy tool. I turn it this way so I can put my book edge here. I'm going to put my base in, and I'm going to put this tool in the middle here with the one at the top. And what this does is, and then I'm going to need an awl. I can just use the numbers or the circles between the numbers to figure out the best spot where I want my 3 holes to be. And then I just match up my signature pages to the same holes, and you don't have to think about measuring or making sure you've lined everything up. All right, so we're doing 3 holes. I think what I'm going to do is one and a half, five, 8. I know that might be weird, but that's just what I'm picking. Also, I'm looking at this really funny, doing this in front of you. So, all right, made my holes. It's all there. Now I'm just going to put my signature in the same space, use the same holes, and then I'm going to be ready to sew. And that is just so much easier than this measuring. And all right, so 1 and a half. Just messing around in there good, making sure I got all the way through. 5 and 8. So easy. I'm done my signature holes. I'm ready to sew. So I actually have to grab some yarn and some thread. I'll come back and I'll show you how to do that. All right, I know some people get intimidated by this process. You shouldn't. With that tool that Dana makes, it really makes this step even easier. So I want to use this kind of green. It does kind of match that. This is hemp string. I'm going to measure it 3 times of the length of the book. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to cut away. I just have a kind of blunt needle. It's not very pointy. I'm going to string this through, and we're going to start sewing. Okay, so get your signature pages. This is 1 signature going in, so that makes this super easy. I'm going to make sure my holes, I have this facing the right way. Otherwise, you're going to be sewing upside down, and that would be goofy. This is my front. Did I do it upside down? I don't want to do it upside down. Those holes look like they match. So, that's no bueno. Okay, I just need to make sure that I made the right holes with it facing the right way, and I'll be right back. That's pretty important when you put these together, so I'm going to check, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so that is important. Make sure that when you go to assemble this, that when you put your holes and you're making everything, that they're aligning with the front of your book and top and bottom in your book. Okay, so I am fine. I just was like worried. Okay, so here we go. We're going into the middle, from the middle of the book. We're going to find our middle hole in our cover, and we're going to pull through. Oops, sorry. If you want to like clip your pages, you can do all that. I think after doing it so many times, like I don't really care. And again, this is a junk journal. It's not meant to be perfect. All right, so now that I went through the middle, I'm coming up to the top. I'm going to find my hole. There it is. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera a little bit. And then I'm going to find my hole in my signature here. And then I'm going to pop it through the hole of the rest of my papers. Which can be difficult to find. So work your way. There we go. See that? We came through. There's a lot of paper here, so I really just wanted to make sure I'm working through everything here. Okay. You might just want to check, make sure everything's lining up. It's looking good. We went in from the middle out. Now we went back down. I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom. Sometimes if you want, you can go back into the middle. It makes it even sturdier. I'm not doing that. I'm just, at this point, wanting to get this thing put together, so. All right. So, if you can see, we're down at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is go back into the middle here. And what that'll do is bring our strings together, and we can tie them on the inside. Just got to work your way through all those papers. If you need to open it up to find your way all the way through, do that. It's just paper, folks. Don't get too serious if you feel like you're messing something up. All right, let's open this up a little bit, see if I can get in here. There it is. All right, coming back in the middle. All right, now you just want to pull. Make sure that you're tight on. Look, see, I tied in my ribbon. Let me see, no good. But now that I can pull, I'm tight here. I'm tight here. Just gonna pull it again, and this is where you tie it. Just make some ties. And then I'm going to cut away the extra. I want a little bit to hang in there. There's that. And now we have our signature. Everything's facing the right way. With this, actually, I'm going to cut it more because I'm going to turn this into a folder. You're not even going to see this. So what I want to do now is I want to glue all of this just here. Because then what this does is create a little pocket at the top that you can put stuff in. And then it just makes a folder here. I guess you could decorate the inside. I don't know. But I like to just make a little folder. Okay, so we are sewn in. This is our ties. I'm going to cut those down a little bit because we don't need that much. I think now what's the best thing to do is just to start decorating the spine. I'm going to cover my spine up. I guess I'm going to have to do that. No, doesn't matter. I want to cover this here, maybe add some rickrack, decorate the front. I'm thinking maybe yellow on the front because I really want to get colorful. I do want to get some yellow. I want some green. I have some orange. Let me see if I have orange tape because maybe orange would go better. I'm going to go look for some things. I'll be right back. Okay, so as I'm going through, I know an image. This is the image I want to put on. This is from my treasure books. I love that image of her kind of just hanging out with her records and her telephone. And so I want to put that there. And then I think I originally wanted some yellow and this. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to put yellow on the base. And I'm going to actually put this down the spine. And I'm going to trim it with that. It kind of goes with this orange. It's got this little retro feel. So I'm going to do that. I'll meet you back here. And here we are. I put yellow trim down the front and yellow duct tape underneath. It just made the trim pop a little more than the black. And then I glued trim to the front. Like just, I just added the ribbon as the trim. And then I did add a little of this stuff here underneath it. Here's my tie and we're ready to still decorate. So I think what I want to do is I do know I want to add my girl down here. And I think I want to do some flowers. And I definitely want to add some trim, some green trim here somewhere. So I think I need to find my flowers and I'll bring it along for my decorating. So let me go get my flowers. All right, so I have some green trim I want to add on. I have two types of green trim. I kind of really like this vintagey dark green and then this minty, I don't know, it's bright green. And then I do have some patches. So I'm shaking the camera again. I'm going to find some patches to put on. And this is the fun part, is when you get down to the decorating. So let's see. Let's glue her on and then let's see where we go from there. One of the things I do kind of recommend too in between all is give some time for stuff to dry. I don't. And in the end, sometimes things will come up on the edges because I'm going fast, or it'll curl because I didn't put something flat on it. So definitely give yourself time for things to dry. All right, and I kind of like putting her down here in this corner. I have so much glue on my fingers. And then I want to start seeing like what color. Definitely want this orange. Now this green. Okay. What are we going to do here? The birds are singing today, y'all. That's finally warming up here, where we're getting some birds coming out. Or maybe I'll do a little, something at the bottom or just the top. I do like the bigger orange. I like the blue. They're like different sizes. And I do like this green. So maybe I'll just do something up top there and not down here. I think I'm going to start with that. Sometimes I don't like to overload my brain. Sometimes like I need to come back and look at it with fresh eyes later on. But I think I do want to just add some of these little patches up in the corner here. I'm having second thoughts. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, folks. I'm going to do the trim first. How about that? I'm going to start with the trim and I'll come back and see how I feel about the other stuff. I think I do want to add so I'm going to do this one first. The greener in the back. I think I do. Okay, so I'm on this decorative page here. I'm going to add a little trim. Put some glue down. There's like a more decorative side, so I'm just looking for that decorative side here. I do want it to hang off some. So that's going to go there. And then I want to add in my other trim. I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. I am so happy with her. I love her. I love her so much. I made the executive decisions to add those there. I added trim all throughout. There's my ribbon. Let's open her up. Ooh, we're shaking. All right, come back not with the earthquake. Okay, so absolutely love her. Gorgeous. I love the colors, the orange, the pinks. It feels like spring is coming. I added trim on all of the decorative pages. So there's a decorative page there. Trim on this page. And actually, I think on the back cover is where I put this trim here. Absolutely love her. So the next thing I would probably do is still going colorful. I want to make a little bookmark. I think I have a different square I can use. So what I'm going to do is I have these. You can get these on Amazon like for like 1,000 of them in a pack. And these are just really thin chipboard bookmarks. I like to use them as spines and little journals. You can glue them together. And in this case, I'm going to use it to make... I'm just going to cover it to make a bookmark. Just a little embellishment guy. Love an embellishment. So what I'm going to do is just glue this all together, and I'm going to pop a hole out the top and tie in some tulle, and I'll be right back. All right, and there's my little bookmark. I like the little blue teal. Adds with all the colors that are happening in this book right now, which I love. I'm like obsessed with color, and this is fabulous. So here we go, folks. So excited. Just going to come up a little bit. Love it. It is just such a fun, pretty book. Feels very springy. Again, composition journal. Just, you know, I'm going to decorate the front. I think I'm going to take some of this paper here. I can cut it down and just glue 3 sides, add a pocket on a pocket. Fabulous. And again, this is my new creative journal. I'll use this for the next few months as I collage and do some junk journaling or just collage journal. Creative journaling, I guess, is really what I like to call it. I don't necessarily always do junky or collage. So there we go. Happy crafting, folks. So gorgeous. Absolutely love it. And then the last touches that I have is, of course, I'm going to add my Girly Junk charm back to it. So I have these little vintage retro binder clips. And I would love to add this little comb. I gotta get like maybe I can do it on here. This is a retro roller skate. This is a comb. Just seems super fitting for this kind of like teenager hanging out here. And this will be the beginning of my memory charm for this journal. I love this girly junk big beads so much. Now that I have a clip, can attach it to my journal. Do it this way. And I am ready for this journal, y'all. So fun. So exciting. Happy crafting.